So I'm just going to wait for her to set that going. And I'm going to crack on. So welcome to tonight's call, everyone. Bear with me a second. I can hear that's coming through on your speaker. It is. Anyway, welcome to everyone to tonight's call. My name is Nigel Booth. I'm going to do this evening, I'll give you a quick overview of Zinzino. We're in the pre-launch phase of the company here in the UK. And I'll be explaining what that means and what that potentially means for you as a partner or as a potential partner as we move forward. Zinzino, inspiring change in life and getting back into balance. Those will become clear as I go through this, explaining what we have on offer tonight. So, one of the important things to understand here is in this launch phase, we've actually got a period of time where we're actually looking for entrepreneurs, people who have influence in their own spheres of influence and as potential business partners who could take advantage of this year's launch of Zinzino in the UK, which we are actually now very close to. We are almost at the point where we will have a UK price list in UK sterling, which means we're right on the cusp of a proper launch here. That would probably have happened in conjunction with physical launch had we not had this coronavirus lockdown, which unfortunately is impacting on pretty much everybody in some way or another. We have been in some ways fortunate enough to be able to take what's been generally a physical business actually online, sharing and developing it here, regardless of the fact that we can't meet with people. We've become great exponents and users of Zoom and various other broadcast media in order to be able to communicate the message. And I have to say that actually we've been having record months on the back of it. So it's kind of proved one thing to us, and that is we don't necessarily have to have physical meetings to begin the process of driving a business forward. So for those of you looking at tonight's call on the basis of evaluating what we have on offer here, then Zinzino is in this launch phase. There are things and opportunities available during this time that won't be available specifically after the launch has actually happened. So the person who invited you is currently looking for some key partners. I'm going to explain why we're looking for key partners right now, because we're looking for individuals prepared to essentially help us to really develop this market. That means a good sort of pioneering entrepreneurial attitude, and putting in place and helping us to put in place a launch platform that's going to take us from pretty much zero to something very special, as you'll begin to see. So there is a timeline of events, meetings, presentations already in place, many, many more online meetings than originally planned in the place of physical meetings to support this. And of course, those who do opt to take part with us will access support not normally available from the company to get help to build a foundation for a global business, because Zinzino is already able to ship to the vast majority of countries throughout the world. We're not open from a business perspective in all, but this year is slated for a number of new launches alongside quite a lot of existing countries already in play. At the end of May, well, we may well still see that happen. It all depends on how quickly coronavirus lockdown begins to get eased. So I talked about markets. Here is the current market map with one or two slight omissions. Australia is open, so it should be blue. And countries are going to be coming online fairly rapidly this year. Currently, though, we're trading in markets with, well, really near enough 1 billion people overall, 950 million of whom are out of balance. I'll explain what that really means in a moment for those of you who aren't quite clear yet. Zinzino is a listed company. What that means is, and it's one of the things that really appealed to me when I started looking at Zinzino and the potential in it, because over the last 10 years as a public company, Zinzino has had to prepare accounts and performance indicators that satisfy the market and effectively dictate the share price. And that is very useful for those of us wanting to evaluate it from a financial perspective. And as it clearly shows, and I'll illustrate it in a moment, the company's had double-digit sales growth, very strong financial foundation, and is member of the Direct Selling Association, which is an umbrella body of organizations that direct sell to consumers. And the only reason for that is that actually it's kind of expression of best practice. Those things you would expect to have as good practices on part of the company in terms of the way it deals with customers and in terms of direct selling companies, in terms of its partners. Because of course, Zinzino sells through partners. It's not distributing out through retail shops or other methodologies. It's all done through partners and referral, word of mouth referral. So I talk about fast growth. Well, I've converted these sales figures into million pounds, that is, sterling, just for the sake of illustration. And you can see there's been a very steady growth over the last 6 years or so, and indeed has continued from before that. So Zinzino, year on year on year on year, has grown. It's grown profitably. It's debt-free. It's also very solid in terms of its cash flow and so on. So it's very well platformed in order to do a couple of things. One is ride out this issue that we've currently got. And two is to actually continue to fund expansion and commitment to new markets. And on that basis, there are another 20 or so slated, as I said, for the next 2 years. So what do we mean by balance? Well, according to the results that Zinzino has created, 95% of the population is out of balance. What do we mean by that? Well, this is about cellular health, driving the total of the organism itself, in terms of it affects everyone from the cellular level upwards. So there's an imbalance between omega-6 and omega-3 fatty acids. We have very low levels of omega-3 and inadequate polyphenol supply, as well as low vitamin D3 levels. Those are actually quite important because the combination of them actually dictates the uptake of omega-3 in particular, which you will know is an essential fatty acid. Why is it essential? Well, quite simply, because we have to get it through the diet. Your body doesn't manufacture it unless it's got the basis of it within the body itself. Most of it comes from oily fish, as illustrated here, although it's also available in walnuts, avocados, various seeds and nuts as well. But we're just simply not getting enough of it. And that's partly down to the fact that we consume far too much omega-6. And of course, we then consume too little omega-3. So what we are is out of balance in terms of omega-6-3. What does that really mean? Well, omega-6 is an inflammatory pathway in the body, and omega-3 is a deflammatory pathway in the body. The two things should be like the even balance of a seesaw or a set of scales, in balance at pretty much all the time. And of course, if we've got too much omega-6, what that actually means is we're heavy on the one side, which means that the body is more inflamed on a chronic basis. And that we know is true with 95% of the tests that have actually been carried out so far. So what does it mean in terms of health? Potentially opens the door to chronic conditions long-term that get gradually worse and worse and worse as we get older and our body is less able to cope with things anyway. So one of the most important tasks for omega-3 is actually the cellular wall itself, the membrane around which the contents of the cell is wrapped, or within which the contents of the cell is wrapped. And that cell is made up of omega-3s and omega-6s. They sit alongside each other, and the omega-3, because it has a little kink in the tail of it, effectively makes the wall more permeable and stretchy, if you like, in order for it to function most effectively. Now, if we have too much omega-6, that makes the cell wall hard, also makes it less permeable. So we're not getting in the stuff that's necessary for good health, and we're not getting out the stuff that's also necessary for good health, in other words, the waste. So we end up with a situation where those cells become harder, more brittle, and less able to function effectively. And that leads on to inflammation conditions, as you I hope you now understand. Now, when you consider that the human body is made up of something like 100 trillion cells, all of which, in the main, 95% of us are out of balance, then it's no wonder that we're seeing an increase in chronic conditions. And yet, when you look at the way medicine is, we know more now about the way the body functions and the ways to address things than we've ever done. But unfortunately, health does not seem to be improving. So this as a driver is something that's extremely important for people, for all of us to recognize. So Zinzino, some years ago, came up with the concept of the balance oil. And the balance oil, where you can say, okay, what is it? Why is it a balance oil? Why is it effective? Well, omega-3 oils in general don't work on their own very well, and I'll explain that in a bit more detail in a moment. But Zinzino's is protected by from oxidation by olive oil. Now, olive oil actually is an omega-6, but it also protects the omega-3 in transport between its harvest and encapsulation in a supplement and delivery into the body. When you eat oily fish, for example, it's protected by the polyphenol content in the fish. When you take an omega-3 supplement, those polyphenols are not in the vast majority of omega-3 supplements, most of which are fish oils. And they talk about purity of the fish oil in that respect, but actually the body doesn't absorb pure fish oil very well. And it runs the risk of the fish oil being rancid quite quickly because it breaks down very fast. And that's what the polyphenols do, is protect that oxidation. And that's used by olive oil itself in order to do that. So it delivers an effective result into the system, which enables the balance to be redressed. So we have Zinzino has a system based on weight, so you know exactly what amount of product to take in order to get your balance back to where it ought to be. It actually tastes great, and it's comprehensively approved for health claims by the European Food Standards Authority and the FDA, the Federal Drug Administration, because we know omega-3s affect the body and the science tells us what those effects actually are. We can make these claims because effectively we're delivering something that's essential for good health. So as of March 18th, sorry, that's slightly out of date, we carried out more than 490,000 tests. It's the largest database of omega-3, omega-6 test results in the world, bar none, and rising every month, rapidly every month, as Zinzino expands. And these figures on the right here make for fairly somber reading. Only 5% of Europeans have a ratio of 3:1 or better. 20% of those that take supplements with omega-3 fatty acids have an average ratio of 7:1. Now, I was one of those when someone asked me, whether I took an omega-3 supplement, to which I answered yes, because I have done for probably 30 years or more. And he said, well, how do you know it works? And I had to say, well, actually, I don't. I know I need it because I don't eat a lot of oily fish. I like meat, and I'm probably out of balance in respect to that, so I should supplement. So I was taking one. My own test results, when I decided to test myself, came back at 14.4:1. Now that puts me pretty much in the ratio of those who don't take a supplement of any kind. So either the one I was taking was rubbish, which I don't think it was supposed to be, because I was paying quite a lot of money for it, or it just simply didn't work, or I wasn't taking enough. There are all kinds of reasons potentially why that was, but there's no question I was so far out of balance, it was probably having an impact on my health in some way. So I took the test, came back 14.4:1. A few months later, I took the second test and I came back at 2:1, right smack in the middle of the optimal range between 1 and 3. So for me, it's absolutely changed my way of making sure I'm in balance. And I've noticed some physical effects. Now, these are not medical claims in any way whatsoever. They're just my personal experience of the state my body's in now, rather than when I was using the other omega-3 supplement. The arthritis in my knee's gone. I had tendonitis and the beginnings of bone spurs. They're gone. And a number of other minor things that you know, nails and hair and various other things are functioning more effectively. So it definitely does the job. And we see that a lot. By way of just talking about, well, you would say that, wouldn't you, as you're testing these things? Actually, Zinzino doesn't do the testing. Each test is individually sent to VITAS Labs, the analytical services. They're completely independent. There's no financial relationship other than VITAS providing customer service to Zinzino. It's an anonymous test, so they don't know who we are anyway. And the results are delivered via website, just on the basis of a barcode and reference to that number. So these tests are completely independent. And that's how we know that the testing is valid in relation to what the results are that we get back. So proven success, over 490,000, as I said, have now been independently tested. It's the #1 database of omega-6/3 results in the world and growing. And of course, that's led to lots of people buying product on a regular basis because Zinzino's business model, is based upon customers taking subscriptions. The reason for that's very simple. You can't bring your body back into measurable balance in anything less, or at the moment you can't anyway, in anything less than around 120 days, because that's the cycle over which your blood changes completely. And that's where how the test is based. It's on a blood spot test. So it's measuring the ratio of omega-6/3 within the blood spot. So the before and after is a 120-day separation. So the company's saying, well, look, there's no point in taking an oil for a month because that's not going to impact you and level you out. So that it's a 6-month subscription. And what we find is that most people stick with it once they've got to that point because it clearly makes sense to do that. Millions of bottles already consumed. So we're not in a test phase in terms of whether the product A has a place, B works, and C is sellable, and D keeps people moving on it. So here we are with some customer facts. Zinzino also has a very interesting, simple, unique model in the sense that essentially the company's putting its money where its mouth is by saying, look, if you're a happy consumer, you're likely to recommend this like you would anything that you're happy with, you know, a film, a book, a play, a holiday destination, all those things, you just naturally share that with others. If you're taking a product like this and it's providing you with the real results that you're going to recommend that to someone, everyone, friends and family, particularly close ones. So if you do that as a customer and find 4 other people to do the same thing, consume it, then your product becomes free. So there is a reward for actually just doing what we do naturally. So that leads to higher retention rates. So Zinzino's business model is based on repetition, a lifetime value of a customer, and the basis of solid, kind of predictable incomes moving forward. 31,000 people are doing that, getting their monthly subscriptions for free. And there's also a customer money back results guarantee. So if someone who takes the test, buys into the product, and then their test results come back after they've begun taking the product, and they're already in balance, then the option is there to get their money back. Because Zinzino is saying, well, you know, we're very confident in our results, and we know 95% of people are out of balance. Also, something is, for me, was really important because the company and the culture, the way this company works, and the relationship it has with us as partners, for me was extremely important. It's publicly traded, I've already talked about it. But it's also young, it's dynamic, it's energetic, it's passionate. And they've got this concept of Kaizen, it's a Japanese word for constant, never-ending improvement. And I have to say that in the very nearly 30 years I've been involved in the networking profession, I've never seen a company like Zinzino doing what it does in relation to distributing products the way it does, and the focus on customers and the support of partners. It's almost perfect. I don't think there's any such thing as completely perfect, but it's really, really close. And it makes it very simple for us as partners to deliver a result for our customers. The leadership is all servant-led. In other words, what more can we do? That's this Kaizen concept. What more can we do to support you? What more can we do to exceed your expectations and those of our customers? And of course, it actively and encourages, supports entrepreneurship. That's what we are as partners. We're entrepreneurs. We're here aligning ourselves with Zinzino because it's got great products, it's got good culture, it's got a profitable plan for us to work alongside. It takes care of all of the hard work in terms of producing, researching, developing, manufacturing the product, putting it in our hands and giving us something really great to sell to people that we know, and share with others who wish to do the same thing. So here we are in a family community, effectively. It is a community of like-minded people living, inspiring, and changing, working at the cutting edge of what is really becoming a mega trend in terms of the test-based approach to nutrition rather than the guest-based one. And of course, we have a lot of fun along the way. You know, there's nothing like success to get excited about and have some fun alongside it. So why choose Zinzino? Well, the test concept's a complete game changer. Nobody else that I know out there does it this way. Nobody else is out there has the confidence to back their product with a test that shows whether it works or it doesn't. And no one else seems to be confident enough to offer a 100% money back guarantee. If the test that proves someone needs it comes back, they don't. So those things give it an edge in a way which others simply don't. There's the Z for free program. In other words, the finding 4 customers, getting your product for free. There's also a car program that Zinzino supports the partners with. Training, mentoring, and personal development, because essentially this is a very simple, pretty not entirely risk-free, because nothing is entirely risk-free, but pretty much risk-free opportunity, business opportunity for most people. Most people are looking for growth, change, and something to help them fulfill the dreams and aspirations they have. And that's wrapped up in the training, mentoring, and personal development programs that run parallel with the opportunity that Zinzino's created in terms of the product and the way that's delivered through mobile technology and apps and personal development programs as well. So this is really a business for everyone and anyone. And it's not seeking to cannibalize other MLMs out there, other networks companies out there, where it's looking to plunder somebody else's network, bring those people in, who bring a whole load of people in with them, and then they all buy in on a package and then disappear off because there's no real pull through, no demand pull through, because consumers don't get into the product. It's not separated in any great way. Zinzino is focused very heavily on being something that delivers real results for people. And it's partner focused and focused on customers. That means we're being very attractive to people who've never been involved in networking before. So it's new thinking. It's the customer focused program. It's simple, social, fun. As I mentioned, anyone can do it. It's much more a question of whether you choose to do it. You know, this is open here for anyone. The goals of the company are quite simple. I'm going to cover those in a second, but essentially they're going to happen anyway. It's much more a question about whether someone sees this, someone sees something in what we offer to meet their goals and aspirations than it is about us kind of begging people to get involved with us. So it's a mass market appeal. Literally 95% of the world's out of balance. Currently, that's 950 million people. When China and India come on stream, there'll be another 2.7 million people there. Sorry, billion people there. So we pretty much triple the marketplace. This is a global business waiting for it. And it's a simple message. Test everyone. Are you in or out of balance? The bet's pretty good. It's 95% or are. So understand this position. The company's goals are simple and they get declared all the time because that's where the trajectory is taking us. 1 million customers by 2025. On the current growth, that will actually happen in 2023. So 1 million customers moving to 10 million by 2035 and 100 million by 2050. Now, if you think about that, actually, in a world of 7.2 billion people or whatever it is, then 100 million of them is not very many. And so that you could say is a little less ambitious than it might be. But it all depends on the speed at which the awareness rises in terms of how important omega-3 really is to people's health. It seems to be a kind of well-known, people need it, but they don't really understand what it actually genuinely means from a health perspective. The global omega-3 market's already 50 billion and growing. And you have the opportunity to actually, right now, get in at the ground floor here in the UK. We've got a couple of thousand customers here at the moment, and we're looking to ramp that up to by an order of 100. And it's just exciting because so much is going to be produced in the next couple of years. And we go beyond the UK into Europe and Asia. And you can literally build a global organization from here in the UK. We're on our way up with unparalleled UK leadership, supporting, developing, helping people to realize the opportunity that there is here. So if I talk a little bit about how we get paid, there's a proven plan. It definitely works. 600 people already qualify for the card program, and many top earners have never ever been in the networking industry before. I am not one of those. In other words, I have been in the MLM industry before, over nearly 30 years now. I see it as a way for the vast majority of people to get into business for themselves, not by themselves, but with a model that can deliver on dreams, aspirations that they have for very low risk. And in the main, most people do that by coming in part-time to begin with, and then beginning to build a full-time income alongside whatever they're doing to pay their, the bills, the mortgage, the rent, or whatever, in order to actually cover the overheads. The majority of people make money, not just a few. It's a simple plan to explain. I'm going to explain a bit about it in a minute. Simple message and a simple path to success. Everything is there for someone to build the basis of a successful Zinzino business. Even if you knew nothing at all and you were on your own, completely in the middle of nowhere, you could build a business with these tools. The comprehensive Get Started training, the Zinzino Express training, that's the blueprint by which your business should be run. It's a bit like the McDonald's franchise. You don't buy one and start making pizzas. The manual tells you what to do, and the mechanism and processes that they employ tell you what to do, and you churn out the same product that everyone else is doing. And it's exactly the same with Zinzino. You model that, and your business will duplicate as you build your organization. There's wonderful marketing material, printed marketing material available for consumption and sharing with others. There is access to what's called the GoCore app. As you see there, the picture on the phone. That's unique, again, in my experience of networking, where it's within the partner agreement, access to that program with hundreds of hours of motivational training, skills training, results-based, orientated training in order to help you get more out of what you're capable of. And of course, there is now, as recently launched, is a back office tool that sits on your phone to help you share and communicate with potential partners and customers, literally driven by your phone. It's almost a CRM sat on your phone. It's great stuff, really, really progressive. So why choose Zinzino? Well, timing's perfect. This is a giant billion-dollar company now, only now launching here. We're starting it here in Europe. Remember, this is a Scandinavian business. Until a few short years ago, almost entirely rooted in Scandinavia. Now breaking out and with a very ambitious global growth plan, once in a lifetime for the vast majority of us. And that strategic plan for the next 2 years, as I've said, 20 new countries, right time, right place, right opportunity, perfect timing. Really, really perfect timing. So what now? The person who invited you on the call is currently seeking partners, people who'd like to build an organization. That comes with a certain amount of commitment in terms of what you need to be prepared to do and how to work. And that they will share with you in some detail about what that commitment actually is. But the simple fact is this business works through referral. In other words, our willingness to share the connections we have and to do that in a way which exposes the product that we've got and the reason for it, and the opportunity we have and the reason for that. And as someone seeking opportunity or potentially partnering with the person who invited you on, then there are 3 basic packages. Actually, there are 2 more, which I'll cover very briefly in a second. I tend not to talk about the first 2 because for a business person, the third one, what's called the ultimate pack here on the right, the reason I mention that one is because it's a money back package. In other words, as long as you have created orders for 25 products on subscription by the end of your first 12 months, then the company gives you your initial pack price back. So in this instance, 995 euros, they give you that back in month 13, as long as you've created those 25. subscriptions within the first 12 months. They don't do that with the other 2 packs because we're looking for a solid commitment to activity. And remember, this business is all orientated around customers. And so the goal here is getting the 25. That can be done relatively straightforwardly in conjunction with your sponsor and the team within your organization as well. So there are 2 others that have been introduced, the Health Protocol Partner Kit and the Ultimate Immune Partner Kit. And those 2, again, they're there specifically as a response to the coronavirus issue, especially with the Health Protocol Kit, which I'm a particular favorite of mine, because essentially it's supporting the 3 parts of your system that boost the immune system the most, providing the minerals and micronutrients necessary to support your immune system in terms of the chemistry, the Xenobiotic, which is the prebiotic powder that supports your gut health, because modern wisdom tells us, the science tells us that something like 70% of all immunity starts in the gut, and the balance oil, which drives the balance of omega-3, omega-6. The 3 together work kind of synergistically in a way to build back the potential within your system to deal with pretty much, or most things, not everything, obviously. And again, refunds after 12 months. The Ultimate Immune Partner Kit, $995 again, instead of just the standard Ultimate Kit. The 2 now, though, $995 and $495, both carry that refund after 12 months. So it's encouraging people to focus upon this essence of Health Protocol. So let me just talk a little bit about the bonuses can be created. I'll put these all up in one go. We have a certain ranks that we call them as we progress through the program. You'll see that each relates to a number of customers, 4 customers starting at the top with bronze. Then there is the cash bonus, and you'll see the number 4 a lot in terms of the way the plan is focused. So 4 customers takes you to bronze, as long as that's done within the first 30 days, and it gets your product for free. Then goes to 10 customers and becomes X team, and there's an extra bonus that comes in on that, enrollment credit bonus, which is, so you get the cash bonus and then qualified for the enrollment credit bonus. And there is an €150 bonus as long as that express is done in 60 days. 18, the 25 I mentioned, that's where you actually double your bonus again with the RCB. And £100 a month, about £100 a month residual on top of that. Duplicate Zinzino for free, the fastest way to build. So in other words, we're looking for customers who get their products for free by creating 4 other customers. And then we move on into the slightly bigger numbers, but they're larger numbers of customers, again, for customer focus. Pro team at 50 customers. Top team at 100 customers, and this deserves more comment because there is now a €10,000 one-time bonus paid for creating 100 customers, spread over 25 months at €400 a month, as long as you keep that 100 or more customers. So again, Zinzino is saying, look, this is about customers. We want people to consume the product on a regular basis. Then we get a bit further down the line with illustrations for top team 200, and there's an annual trip, the director trip. And then last but not last, but the last illustration here is a top team 1000, at €36,000. So you can see that there is a progressive increase in bonuses as you move through the plan. And of course, this doesn't happen overnight, it takes time, but it's just about focus and sharing and continuing to share as you move forward. And I've now come on to team customers because I've been talking about just pure customers to begin with, those that are not really partners, although indirectly they are, I guess, because we're always asking them to share with others anyway and find the 4 so they get their product free. Whereas with team customers, we call them really partners, I guess. So we start with that number 4 again. So here we're looking for 4 partners, A, B, C, and D, and we're going to use that number 4 to multiply up as we go. So 25 customers of your own and 4 partners. This is the basis of the model that explains the way the plan maximizes throughout. So you can see your way to achieving fairly large numbers, in fact, very large numbers as we move forward. I'm not going to talk too much detail about exactly what the bonuses do in terms of the extra bonuses, but you'll see those numbers come up there and they will tell you that they scale up as we move forward. So if the 4 partners find 25 of their own, then they create 100 partners between them. And in total, that moves you towards the rank of what we call silver, which is a €250, Euro fast start bonus. And then we take those 4 partners who create their own 4 partners. And that, of course, in turn, just duplicating out, brings 4 more silvers. And that brings you to fast start gold. And then that number of customers upscales to 500. So we've got 100 plus another 400, making 500, ranking up again to that executive figure. You can see the way this progresses based around the number 4. 4 and 25. 25 customers, 4 partners. So each one of the partners is creating their own 25 customers and then creating 4 partners. So as we see that neat model moving, never works exactly like this, but essentially as a principle, this explains the way the plan is actually focused. So that goes to executive, more bonuses. So there's €1,000 bonuses total. 16 times 4 more. So now we've got 64, and 4 of those become executives because, of course, they're one step behind you. So at the left-hand end, there's the 4 partners. Now they have created their own duplication of yours. That takes us to 2,100 customers, and that's the diamond position and a €5,000 a month bonus. And that's about the point at which it starts to become quite interesting, because that's probably around slightly more than average income. And beyond that point, it starts to become much more interesting. Now, this might take a little while for you to do, maybe a year, maybe 2, maybe 6 months, doesn't matter. What happens is if you keep doing the basics, inevitably you move towards the right of the plan, increasing the income you're creating. Now, in many cases, people do this part-time for quite a long time, and then ultimately have the choice about whether they move into full-time activity or otherwise. 64 of those have now become times 4, giving you a total of 256, and that's 4 diamonds. So 4 diamonds takes you to a position of crown and €12,000 a month. So 8,500 customers. Now this is not guesswork or painting a picture. This is an illustration of what's already happening. There are many crowns already. We don't yet have any in the UK, but then we're in pre-launch, and we will certainly have them by the end of this year. So this is happening now. And what's the choice you have? Well, it's always a personal choice ultimately, but the choice is simple about whether you see something here that says enough to you to want to know more and or potentially get involved straight away, because this is the jump-off point towards a new future. Just by way of illustrating what's coming up, this is a snapshot of the shared calendar that we have for everybody, detailing the calls and the potential access for partners to gain information and share this with others, so that there is continually available a way of communicating that with other people. And that's readily available for everybody, so that you can build your organization. And in Snapshot, that's what we have available. We're during this influencer phase. We regularly run business presentations, product presentations. This Thursday, there will be a full business presentation. Invite your friends and colleagues onto that. The more we share this, the more awareness there is and the more likelihood there is of increase. Tuesday nights, we have a product training. All of those, however, are recorded. They are then posted up to the YouTube channel that is available to everyone to use again. So you can share this potential with people 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And of course, as part of a team, you've always access to the upline and the person who sponsored you. My name is Nigel Booth. Thank you very much for your time and attention tonight. I hope that's been of use to you. The person who invited you on the call would love to have you as a partner. Certainly, they'd be willing to teach and train you to make that happen. But equally, if it's not for you, then they'd be very happy for you to tell them that that's the case. So thank you, everyone, and good night. Stay safe.